So for today's video, what we're going to do is to discuss the third lesson, which is advanced on spreadsheet. Alright, so again, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will be updated to all my videos. So without further ado, let's start presenting the lesson 3 to discuss about the most commonly used Microsoft Excel functions. We're also going to tackle about conditional functions. And for the activity, you're going to create a simple database, which I will also create a tutorial for that. What are the objectives for this lesson? So first, you will be able to be familiarized with the most commonly used functions in Microsoft Excel or spreadsheets. And you will be able to use several conditional functions available in Microsoft Excel, or we can also use Google Sheets as an alternatives for that. And then be able to create your own simple database. By the way, what is Microsoft Excel? So as we all know, Microsoft Excel is a software application created by Microsoft, calculating the data, organizing data because of the table, and you will be able to create several information coming from like the surveys, so you can organize that using the Microsoft Excel. You can also compute for the grades using the Microsoft Excel. Small business, so you can definitely use Microsoft Excel for that. So you can compute for your profit, income, and so on and so forth. Now for the short history, like the Microsoft Word, it has also a software created called the VisiCalc. And it was created by Don Bricklin during 1978. Enhance that particular software and name it Lotus 123. It has 5 columns and 20 rows. It was developed by Mitch Kapor. That was 1983. And then eventually Microsoft also created their own software for spreadsheets and named it Multiplan. That was 1985. And until then, they enhanced the interface of the software and then created another name for it, and then they name it Excel. So that's where it started for the Microsoft Excel. And basically, it has an improved interface and the features as well. What are the different parts of Microsoft Excel? So like Word, it has also different parts. So the first one is actually it has also a title bar. It shows the name of the document or the file name. Now we have the different tabs or the menu bar that gives us option in order for us to manage the sheet. And then we have the access toolbar. You found it in the left corner, and then the ribbon that shows the different shortcut of the functions. We have the formula bar, this part, which actually shows the text that you're going to enter in cell or the formula that you're going to use. You can also use that directly, or you can use the cell, the single box, the cell selector. And then we have the letters here above. We call it the column headings. And then the numbers on the vertical, we call it the rows. Sheets that you're working on, we call it the sheet tab. And also the status bar that display the information of the sheets or worksheets that you're working on. We also have the document views and the zoom control. It's common parts of Microsoft Excel. Okay, let's move on. So what are the basic Excel functions using the math operations? So we all know the different math operations. We have addition, subtractions, multiplications, and divisions. This is the cell. So let's say I'm going to put in here numbers. So let's say 45. And then let's have another number per figure. Let's say 87. So for us to add these two numbers, we have two ways. Okay, the shortcut is using the auto sum, the one located on the right side of your screen. Of your worksheet. So when you click that, so it will automatically provide the formula. So meaning you do not need to put in manually, and then you just hit enter, and that will give you the sum. Okay, so that is the total. Now another ways of adding the two numbers is using the formula. So equal sign D3 plus E3. Alright, and then hit enter. They'll give you the same results. So that is another way of doing that. Okay, that's for addition. Now for the subtraction, it's very easy. So we're going to use the same formula. So equal sign, and then just going to use the name of this cell, which is D3, and then use the sign negative or minus, and then E3, and then hit enter. So it'll give you negative 42, which is correct. Now for the multiplication, it's very easy. So there's another ways on doing that. So let's put in equal sign, and then use product. There, so you have the product right here, and then you just alright, just put in this true or the range, and then close it using the parentheses, and then enter, and it'll give you the answer. That's another way of multiplying two numbers using Excel. So another one is using the sign. So equal sign D3, and I use asterisk for the sign, times or multiply by E3, and it'll give you the same answer. Okay, so that is for the multiplication. Now for the division, it's also easy as 1, 2, 3. So we're going to use the sign as well. So equal sign, let's say we're going to use E3, and then the symbol is / divide D3. I'm going to hit enter. It'll give you 1.933, and so on and so forth. So that is how are you going to do the math operations using the Microsoft Excel. The sum, we already demonstrated that earlier, and then we have the average, and then we also have the Countif. Now for the average, how are we going to do that? So let's say we have a bunch of number here. So let's say 25, 36, 87, 90, 105. And we're going to get the average of these numbers. So how are we going to do it? So we're going to use the function equal sign average, and then put in an open close parenthesis. And what are the numbers that you're going to get an average with? So the range is C2 until C6. So you're going to put that C2 colon C6, and hit enter, and then you will be able to get the average. Alright, that is how you're going to get the average. Or you can just highlight this and look under your under the worksheets, and you will be able to see the average here, 68.6, and then the sum as well, 343, and then count the number of items that you highlighted. Okay, that's another way of checking the average. All right, now for the Countif, this is a little bit not really hard, but you can actually do it very quickly. All right, so this is applicable if you're going to count, let's say, a symbol, or you're going to count the items. So let's say you have a small business, and then you're going to count the number of products that you already have in your business or in your store, something like that. So let's say you are selling fruits. Okay, so let's put in fruits there, and then you have a variety of fruits. So let's say you have apple, let's say banana and pineapple, and you have another apple. Let's say this is a different brand, but still an apple. Another apple right here. So just use that to show the demonstration. And then we have banana. Okay, let's say we have this just a few examples, but in real life, you have a bunch of the products. So equal sign, and I'm going to use the Countif function, and then you put in parentheses, open and close parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you have to look for the range and the criteria. So the looking for here is the range of these items. So it actually located in E2 right here. So column E and then row number 2 until E8. All right, so let's put in E2 colon E8. And then what is the item that we're going to count for the criteria? So let's say we're going to count apple. So we have to put in open and close quotation mark. And inside the quotation mark, we're going to put the item. So apple. And then that is it. So we can now see the results. So hit enter. So as you can see, we have 3. And then if we're going to count it manually, so 1, 2, 3. So this is correct. All right, but if you have multiple, it's hard to count manually, right? So we have to use the formula or function for Countif. Okay, so that is for Countif. Then how about SUMIF? Okay, for SUMIF, okay, so let's see here. We're going to use this 2 example that we created earlier. So I'm gonna put in right here. So let's put it here. Then we're going to add another figure here. So let's say 9846. Okay, so for SUMIF rather. So let's say we're going to get the sum of one item here, E3 up to E8. So E3 colon E8. Right. And then we're going to look for the criteria. So the criteria that we're looking for is apple. So inside the quotation mark, we're going to put apple. And then we also put the range for the value that we're going to get the sum. So it's F3 colon and then F8. Alright, that is basically the formula for SUMIF. Now if we're going to hit enter, we'll be able to get the results. So 239. So if we're going to check that, I'm just going to highlight apple. So 1 apple, second, third. So we've seen here below that it is 239. So meaning the formula that we used is correct. Alright, so average if is the same thing as SUMIF, but we're going to change the function. So instead of using SUMIF, we're going to use average if. So SUMIF, change it to average if. Go and hit enter. And if we're going to check that for the average result, highlight apple, 79.6666 and so on. So the answer is correct. For the if function, we're going to use a logical. So we're going to put if function, open and close parenthesis. And then the logical test that we're going to use is, of course, we're going to use the greater than and less than. So again, if it's less than 50, and then the value that we can see is low, so that is under inside the quotation mark. And then if it's greater than 50, it should be high. So another open and close quotation, and then high, and that's it. We forgot the cell reference, so we will going to use F3 for the cell reference. Okay, and then enter. So as you can see here, we have low, and then we're just going to drag it down to apply everything. So 87 is higher than 50, so it's high, 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 and then 46 is lower than 50, so it's low. So that is how are you going to use the if function in Excel. Alright, conditional formatting, however, is using a color markings. So for the conditional formatting, you can find it in Home tab. And then we're going to look for the conditional formatting. So here, and then highlight cells rows. So we're going to use the text that contains. So let's say for low, we would like to have it filled with the color green. and then we're going to create another rules, and then if it's high, let's use yellow, and then enter. Okay, and then just copy that, highlight the paste special, and then formatting. That is the use of conditional formatting. Now for the data validation, this is the function that we use in order for us to create a drop down. So how are we going to do that? So first you have to choose for the cell that you're going to use in putting the drop down, and then you're going to find the data validation that is under the data, and then look for the data validation, click that, and then initially it will give you any value, but we're going to change that to list, and then we're going to look for the items that we're going to use for the drop down. So we have here the arrow, small arrow, so click that, highlight the items or the range, click enter, and then click OK. So we already have the drop down below. So that is how are you going to create a drop down for your items. Okay, so that is it for now, and I should see you on my next video. Thank you.